Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to Revelations with Rowena. I'm Dr. Rowena Winkler, and today we're going to be talking about inner child work, which is something, as you'll get to hear today, has been coming up a lot for me lately. I just want to say that at the time of this recording, there's been a lot going on astrologically. We just left Mercury retrograde, which for a lot of people has been a bit of a doozy. We had a solar eclipse and we're now in Cancer season. And tonight we have the full strawberry moon in Capricorn, which will be the starting point of what I'm going to discuss today. So, today at 2:39 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the full moon in Capricorn is here, and it's also known as the strawberry moon. We're in June. It's strawberries. They they signify abundance, and it's red luscious fruit. It's we're in Cancer season, so there's a very high feminine energy tied to this season. And when it comes to that energy, that divine essence, that very moon feminine energy, it also ties into this Cancerian idea of mothering and nurturing, right? And put that in the context of Capricorn season, which is, Capricorn. I'm a Capricorn rising, so it's very disciplined. It's authoritative. It's a very hustle mentality. Capricorns are very ambitious. They're working hard. So we have this tension between a the Cancer, this mothering, this feminine, and then the more Capricorn authoritarian father type of energy. And it's it's called us, or is calling us, to reflect on how we are tending to ourselves. How are we dealing with this balance, with this seeming tension between the hustle and the home, right? The the self-care and the work. I know for me, as someone who has hustled many, like 30 plus years of my life, I've been a hard worker. I've been self-motivated. I've hustled. I've worked, and never really, until more recently, took the time to be intentional with tending to myself and to my self-care, and creating space to be able to rest and replenish and renew and restore as needed. I feel like in the past several weeks in particular, but definitely in this past half year, I have been tapping into my intuition and really diving and exploring my empathic nature and abilities. And as a result, I feel like I need to learn to set those energetic boundaries, as I talked about with Hannah here 2 weeks ago. It's challenging to have a lot of feelings and have all this, like, have a lot of energies kind of swirling about, and you're receiving them, and you're feeling these things, and you're receiving these things, and you're trying to also move on your own path and get things done, but you're feeling slowed down. It's been a bit of a cluster of sorts. And integrated with all of that, I've come to these realizations as to why I felt the need for so long to hustle and grind and work so hard to be where I am today. It is because deep down inside, my narrative, my limiting belief, my my mixtape that I've been playing over and over for years was that I'm not enough and I am not worthy of love, of affection, of acceptance. And so for years, I had to hustle and grind and achieve to feel like the semblance of worthiness and that I am enough, that I have to go the extra mile and do 20 million things and overschedule and overextend myself and overload myself in order to somehow demonstrate that because I can wear all these hats and do all these things that I'm I'm enough and that I'm okay. I came to this realization earlier today that a lot of the things that I do stem from this limiting belief. As you know, as many of you know, I'm a theater performer and I love being on stage. I've told my therapist it's probably one of the few times that I feel fully present and I'm like super engaged. But I thought about it today and I wonder if the other reason why I love being on stage so much is because I don't have to be me, that I have to study and play this part. Because God forbid if I went on stage as myself, what would that look like, right? How would that be received? I was on LinkedIn Live earlier today with my good friend Leah Fink, who will actually be on this show next week. And I talked about my story with perfectionism and how saying goodbye to perfectionism leads to productivity, creativity, um, all those sorts of things, right? And she asked this really amazing question about, as perfectionists, it's good to have structure by any means, right? I With my clients, I have action plans that I help them have some structure. Structure is a component of the inner muse model that I created. But she asked this question about, for a perfectionist, is there some sort of there's some sort of line that's crossed when you're over structuring? And I feel like that can be the shadow side of Capricorn, right? Like Capricorns, they get shit done, but maybe they're structuring to a fault. So I would invite you to take this full moon to think about that. How are you overstructuring in your own life, and how has that overstructure impact how does that overstructure impact how you show yourself up in the world? Is it preventing you from showing up as your most authentic self? Is it causing you to think so far ahead in the future and ruminate so much on the past that you don't stay fully present in the moment because you have to check off the plan? You have to hit that next mark. You have to reach that goal. Now, there's nothing wrong with goals. Trust me, I've been very goal oriented for much of my life. I have to-do lists, I have checklists. It does feel good to cross things off, but are we doing it at the expense of missing what's going on around us? Are we doing this at the expense of not being present for ourselves and for our loved ones and the relationships and the interactions and the beauty that is living moment to moment in this life? I've I've had to be really intentional with how I'm now structuring my time. I write daily affirmations to get me in a good mindset. I practice gratitude to help me stay rooted in appreciation for everything, all the blessings and abundance I have experienced so far. But I also know that for me, I may have put myself in situations where all I want is that external achievement, right? that and I've spoken to this many times, that I was reaching for these awards, these degrees, these milestones, all of these things, but for what? You know? At the end of the day, does it really matter that much? Did I work my way and get all these A's and write all these papers and do all these things when I'm still feeling like it's not enough? And I've had to tap in deep. I've had to go in and visualize embracing little Rowena, inner child Rowena, and tell her that despite all of that, that it does, that she is okay and she is beautiful and she is intelligent just the way she is. I found that more recently, if I'm treated as if I am stupid, like if even if it's not even real, like if my perception is that you're talking to me like I'm dumb or you're treating me like I'm incompetent, I get really fired up, I get really triggered, I get really defensive. And again, I think it's this, I have this, I want to be this audacious person who feels like, no, that, like, I'm not incompetent, I'm not stupid. Here, let me show you XYZ. Let me, like, do all these things. Let me say all these things. Let me debate you. Let me give you the evidence. Let me make the PowerPoint. Let me do the project management, what have you. That I'm capable of it. It's it's a lot. I actually found myself quite overwhelmed several times the past few weeks, thinking about all of the masks and all of the striving and all of the contrived notions of feeling successful. And honestly, I feel like it was a form of self sabotage. I talked about it with Leah earlier today. I've talked about it before on here, that by wrapping myself with this hustle mentality, with this perfectionism, it prevented me from a sense of play. Sometimes it has prevented me from a sense of being okay with just being, like I'm still struggling with this. I'm one of those people that if I'm relaxing in any way, if I'm not working, if I decide to stay home and rest instead of go to the next event or to the next thing, I genuinely feel bad about it. I feel guilty. I think the way that I was raised was to be productive, right? That taking action and doing things equates to success, and it's hard to break that mindset. I had a conversation today with a friend about, like, we have to rewire our brains, we have to, I am doing the work through that inner child work, through telling myself that I am enough and that I am worthy and that I'm amazing. And despite the mistakes, despite the challenges, despite not hitting the mark every time, that it's okay, right? I have to work on telling her that and telling myself that, because for so long the messages were, you're bad, you're not smart, you're not good enough, you need to do more, you need to please this person, you need to get that award, you need to be the best daughter, the best student, the best mother, the best wife, the best, the best. But what exactly does that mean? What is the criteria for being the best when you don't even feel the best inside? It's a lot of reflection. And what's really interesting, I'm just jumping around all here. I don't really have a plan. I have some notes, but I'm really speaking from the heart. So I appreciate those who watch this for bearing with me as I try to put a lot of my feelings and thoughts the past couple of weeks into a way that makes sense. So I appreciate you coming along for the ride and receiving. I hope that there are some things that make sense for you and that are helpful for you as I am disentangling myself as well. Um, because that's the whole vibe of full moons, right? Full moons are for release. Full moons are for also for celebration, right? That what have you accomplished, especially with the Capricorn vibes? Who have you connected with? Who have you built community with? Who have you nurtured? Giving that Cancer vibe. So this is my release. This is my own way of ritualizing what I've learned and what I've come to grips with the past several weeks. I've been more reflective. You can and I will say that I am in the process of the upswing or feeling better from a cold. You know, Kerrigan gave us daycare crud. So my energy is a little bit lower, but it's also because I've been super fucking introspective lately. But what was I even saying? I I've realized that I have so much more to give. And essentially, I have been in my own way with these thoughts and feelings, with this core limiting belief that I can't and that I'm not good enough. And another way this has come up, and I remember what I was going to say, another way this has come up for me is through this role playing game, actually, which is so interesting that, this, I mentioned about this sense of play and losing this sense of play, but I'm going to talk about how I've used this game and this sense of play to help me deal with some of this inner child tending. I met a group of folks at Gen Con online last year. We play tested an RPG, a role playing game, and we kept up with the campaign after that one shot, after that one session that we play tested at Gen Con online, and then a subset of that group have then gone on this journey with another game called Tales from the Loop, which is very like Stranger Things vibes. It's we're playing children essentially in this futuristic world where there's robots and whatnot. You can look it up if you're interested. But what's been interesting for us as a group is that we started off as these children, right, 11 to 13 years old, going on these adventures. We've grown very close. My character actually, gets a little romantically involved with another character. But then after we finished that game, we moved into Things from the Flood, where we are now high schoolers. It's like 4 years later, and at the end of that first game, we all got separated. Things happened. I'm not going to get into it. But things happened and then we come back together and we're high schoolers. And as I'm sure you can probably remember from high school is a very dramatic time. And what's so interesting is that we are so connected to our characters and we've gotten so we're so in connection with each other that through this game we are uncovering and perhaps even triggering a bit. We are releasing some of these demons and limiting beliefs and past experiences that we had as teens, and now as adults we're reliving these situations with the mindset of now, like, what would be helpful to that character, to that child, but, playing it out the way that a child would, but having that outside knowing of, "Oh my gosh, if she just did this," or, "Oh my," and it's been so interesting for us. It has brought up a lot of feelings. Like, for me personally, my character went through some hurt and caused some harm unintentionally, but, she made some decisions that impacted other people, and she wasn't sure if there was a way out of that, and gosh, that, like, made me think of high school Rowena, who who made mistakes and caused harm and didn't have the tools to know what to do next. It brought up these ideas of shame and ideas, these feelings of shame and guilt and secrecy and hiding yourself because you're afraid of being yourself, being afraid of being transparent and telling your truth to your friends because you're afraid of what they would think or what they would do, the ideas of feeling alone because your friends left you, the thought of loving someone so badly it hurt. Like, these are all things, these are all themes that have come up in this game and have caused my own inner knowing, my own deep dive into, holy shit, what makes Rowena Rowena, and what has she done, and what has she learned from that, and what can she take moving forward, and that Rowena today is okay and better for it, even though it sucked back then. I'm reframing the decisions and the things that I've done before because I know that I had the strength and resilience to be here today to speak openly about it and to feel strong in my vulnerability. That's something that I've come to realize in these years of work and these past several weeks of reflection and introspection, that no matter how messy or how convoluted or how ridiculous things may sound or seem, even to me, that it's all coming up for a reason and that there is a place and a space for it, and that my job is to create that space. My job is not to distract and to hide and to overschedule and to overplan and overprepare. My job is to create that space because within that space something beautiful can emerge. Within that space I can find my true voice and be able to come up as my authentic self, because that is the self that I would want to show to the world. That is the self that I want to show up and show out and help other people. That past self of perfectionism, that past self of striving for no good goddamn reason other than to feel seemingly better but not really, I am releasing her. Because in this strawberry full moon there is a message of abundance, and that abundance is not from working. It's from finding connection. It's from being in community. It's from finding ways to parent and tend to ourselves. It's finding what is really going on deep down inside and bringing it up, as shitty and as horrible and as scary as that may seem, and telling that inner self, that inner child, that it's okay. It's okay, babe. It's okay, baby. It really is okay. I love you. You're strong. You've done your best given the circumstances, given the resources, given the situations, given the people that were around you. You did your best and you are okay and you are beautiful and you are bright. And you shouldn't dim your light, not for nothing. You shouldn't dim your light because you feel weird or that you feel different or that you feel like no one's gonna fucking listen. People will listen because you have something to say. You have something to give to the world and you have a gift that you want to share with the masses, and you will and you can. This is what I'm telling her. This is what I've been telling her. She's enough. I am enough. I am worthy. I am releasing and letting go of everything that's been holding me back. Y'all better fucking watch out, okay? And listen, I know it took a little bit of time. It took maybe like 10, 15, I don't even know, maybe 20 minutes for me to finally find my uh, getting incensed. Is incense energetic? I was in real time processing what I wanted to say and processing what needs to come out. And that is the story. The story is that this is my story. And my story is that I can save myself by releasing these outlandish expectations that I have set for myself for 30 plus years. I don't need to be perfect. I don't need to be like other people. I'm just me. And inner child Rowena is awesome. And I intend to nurture her and get back to her precociousness, her curiosity, her joy, her zest for life. Not saying that she's gone away, not saying that she's still not there. There as you grow older, these things happen, right? Like we meet people and we put up these filters. But I'm deciding in this past couple weeks that I'm ready to embrace her and go to her and tap into her because I firmly believe she is the source of that brilliant light that is just dying to come out. And so, with the light of the beautiful strawberry full moon, I am stating out loud right here, right now, that I intend to increase amping her up. That inner light, that inner child, she's okay, she's here, and she's ready. If you're interested in engaging in ritual for the full moon, if you need ideas, need some tips, guidance, if you want to know where your full moon lies in your chart, if you want to know what to look out for in the next couple of weeks, I'm here. I'm here. And I'm going to try my damnedest to not hold back again. That's all for now. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.